Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here in June. A very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. And welcome, I can't remember what day it is, to Thursday's edition to the dceu Daily. I'm not actually sure that it's Thursday. Someone enlighten me. I think it's Thursday. Anyway, here's a message from my friend, Todd Phillips.
Understand at least why people might be a little scared going into it?
I mean, I think that, Aurora is obviously a horrible situation, but even that is not something you blame on the movie. And quite frankly, if you do your own research about Aurora, that gentleman wasn't even going in as Joker. That was misreported. His hair was dyed red. He was having obviously a mental breakdown, and there's something horrifying about it, but it wasn't related to it outside of the fact that it happened at a movie theater. But this is not the thing that the movie is trying to represent. This is not the movie still takes place in a fictional world. It can have real world implications, opinions, but it's a fictional character in a fictional world that's been around for 80 years. The one that bugs me more is a toxic white male thing. When you go, I just saw John Wick 3. He's a white male. He kills 300 people, and everybody's laughing and hooting and hollering. Why does this movie get held to different standards? It honestly doesn't make sense to me.
Toxic white male. What does that mean? First of all, thank you, Todd Phillips. You have made a wonderful, beautiful movie with the legend that is Joaquin Phoenix. You have worked hard. You have made one of the best comic book movies ever about a comic book character. It's compelling. It does not celebrate a murderer. It doesn't celebrate a white man killing people. And it doesn't sympathise with him. It sympathises with everyone who suffers with mental illness. And it says society isn't doing enough for them. And this is exactly what happens to this character in this film. That isn't sympathising with a killer. That's sympathising with everyone in the world. People of colour, white people, white men, white women, women of colour, women of ethnic origins. It sympathises with everyone who's ever suffered with mental illness and has not been believed by society, not helped by society. Now, where did all this come from? That this film is going to inspire people to kill people. It sympathises with toxic white males. First of all, this toxic white male thing is total fabrication. It's fictional terms, right? We all deserve to be treated equally, whether you're white, a person of colour, ethnic, or whatever you are, or whatever gender you are. And let's not go through that, right? Because that's pretty confusing, right? But the point is, we are all human. We are all beautiful people at the beginning. But life gets to some people easier than others. People suffer with mental illness. And for generations, this society has ignored those people. Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix have stood up and said, no. If you're suffering with mental health, after you've seen this film, you know what you're not going to do? Pick up a gun and want to kill people. No. What you're going to want to do is get to talk to someone before this happens to you. You're not going to want this to happen to you. It's actually off-putting. It's a cautionary tale. So where did all this come from? This is the conspiracy part of this video. Where did all this come from? All of a sudden, we went to a film festival. We went to a beautiful film festival, the Venice Film Festival. Everyone loved this movie. Everyone was shocked and compelled by this movie. It won the Golden Lion. Then we went to TIFF. Then we went to the Toronto Film Festival, and it all kicked off. All the SJWs were there with their knives and forks, ready to sink their teeth in and tell us that this was about a toxic white male and we shouldn't sympathise with white men. No. We can sympathise with every other human being because white men have dominated the world. While for 40, 50 years, other people have suffered. This is true. But life shouldn't be about revenge. You should be bigger than that. We should try our most, right, to have equality for everyone and treat everyone with love and respect. But instead we attack each other. We attack each other's genders and movie preferences and song preferences. I am fed up. I went through all of this with Batman v Superman, Man of Steel and Suicide Squad. I will not go through this again. This is what I believe has happened. Disney are a very scared company right now. Somehow them and their soldiers, people like Scott Mendelson, have peddled this false narrative. They have been desperate to curtail this film and its run and its positivity and its success. But you know what the great thing is? They have failed. Last night in London, at a screening for the Joker, people were invited by Warner Brothers personally, bloggers, people like that, people who run sites, right, to a screening. Then they were treated to a question and answer session from Todd, Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix. They were laughing, joking. You could tell they've got a great rapport with each other. It was a beautiful event. A friend of mine showed me a video and it was beautiful, right? Absolutely beautiful. WB, Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix are not deterred by what's going on. And by the way, this crap about him Joaquin storming out of an interview when he was asked, is it a dangerous movie? Could it inspire someone to go around killing people? He didn't storm out. He thoughtfully and intelligently said, look, excuse me, I need to talk to the Warner Brothers PR department about this question. The interviewer understood that, of course. The interviewer later on did an article about him storming out. But never mind, right? Let's just lie. So Joaquin went out, asked the PR executive at Warner Brothers, how should I reply to this? And he was advised, just tell them that's not the case because that's the truth. And Joaquin came in, apologised for walking out. Joaquin has history of not being very good at press tours, not being very good publicly. But he has been an absolute pro through this whole marketing jizz. And you know what? This marketing run for films is very tiring for people. They have to answer the same questions. But Joaquin and Todd have been absolutely fantastic. And last night in London, they were absolutely fantastic again. I can't wait to see the theatrical version of this movie. The test screening blew me away. But that isn't the film. The film is the theatrical version, and I can't wait to see it on the 4th or 5th or 6th of October, whatever happens. So, sorry, Disney. I'm really, really sorry that you failed to curtail a movie classic that will be remembered for years, unlike your MCU movies. Now, moving on. Yesterday was Christopher Reeve's 67th or 68th birthday. Christopher Reeve, as you know, and I've bored you to tears about this, is my first Superman. Superman the movie was one of the first films I ever saw. It had a big impression on me. Definitely a bigger impression than Superman 2, 3 or 4. But don't get me wrong, Superman 2 is a really good film. And unpopular opinion, I actually prefer Richard Lester's cut of Superman 2 to the Donner cut. Not because I have an issue with Richard Donner's a legend. He gave me Superman. Without what Richard Donner did, I wouldn't have fallen in love with this film. But the point is, I'm just too used to the original theatrical cut, and I just can't get into. The only thing I actually love about the Donner cut are the Marlon Brando scenes. The rest of it just take me out the whole thing. And at times the music's different as well. I prefer the music in Superman 2. Anyway, let's talk about Christopher Reeve and what he meant to me. I was a very unconfident young boy. I had learning difficulties. I had mental illness as a young boy as well, definitely. I had a lot of issues. If my mum told me off, I would pull the leaves out of her plants and she'd break down. I was a very difficult child. And I was bullied at school. And it was only watching Christopher Reeve in Superman that gave me any hope for my future. Superman is an inspiration for so many people. People say he's not relatable. He absolutely is relatable, especially if you're an immigrant, right? Nobody knows that Superman is an immigrant, right? Nobody thinks about it. Nobody questions it. But that's what he is, right? And he's hope for us. And this is why when he dies in the comics, it's devastating for everyone because he's not just someone who saves you. He's someone who inspires you. And this is what Christopher Reeve's Superman did. Now, I believe Henry Cavill's Superman is very inspirational in a different way. And I love his Superman, right? And I don't play one off against the other. I think it's childish and I think it's pathetic. But Christopher Reeve was special. You looked into that man's eyes and all you saw was purity and goodness. You believed he was Clark Kent. You believed he was Superman. He lived it. He breathed it. Now, it may have ruined the rest of his career because he was typecast. But ultimately, he was proud of what he did. When he was cast, he wanted it. He fought to play Superman. You know, he came into Richard Donner. Richard Donner goes, look, you're a skinny kid. I can't cast you as Clark Kent and Superman. He goes, listen, I'm doing a play. Come and see it. He did. He goes, listen, I can bulk up. Please, give me a chance. And they loved this kid so much, they gave him a chance. He bulked up. Christopher Reeve should have won an Oscar or got a nomination for Superman the movie. His performance is that good and that special. A special person, a special man, someone who meant so much to me, and I don't like meeting my heroes, but this is a hero that never let me down. And all those years later, when he turned down being on the Lois and Clark show, because, let's be honest, Dean Cain said some very disparaging things about his Clark Kent, which was stupid, but I don't really have much time for Dean Cain anyway, so let's move on. But then he comes to Smallville. Now, our Miles, and I do Smallville videos, I don't really want to talk about this, but I want to talk about how he came and did Rosetta, how he came and did Legacy. But he could have just done an easy cameo. They could have just wheeled him past. But no, he plays Dr. Virgil Swan and plays a big part of the Smallville Legacy. He's an absolute legend. And Christopher Reeve, you are fantastic. And I'll never forget you. So, Cinema Blend's been reporting that the Snyder Cut movement have got big plans for New York Comic Con. Apparently there's going to be a digital billboard flashing 30 times or something. So they're putting your money to good use. This is really, really exciting. We keep the fight going. The letter campaign has kicked off. It's doing very, very well. Listen, whether she reads them, whether it makes a difference, it doesn't matter. They know we're here. They know we want the Snyder Cut. That's what's important. So keep on hashtagging it. Release the Snyder Cut. They are listening. They are listening. They know we are making a difference. And they know they can't have that theatrical copy as that theatrical cut as the official Justice League. They're going to want to do something in the future. Do they want the legacy of a Justice League movie being that? We want Zack's movie. We want better upper lip CGI for Henry Cavill. It's a better film. That's what I believe. I think there's elements of the Snyder Cut that maybe we'll be underwhelmed about because it's been built up so high. But I want to see this film and make my own mind up. It's very, very interesting, you know, because one of the kids from Stranger Things, who's actually been in It Chapter 2, has actually said he's so happy that Andy Muschietti is doing the Flash movie. But he goes, until you get on set, you're not doing that movie. And of course, obviously with everything that's happened with the Flash movie, they're not taking anything for granted. So could this young kid, and I'm sorry I forgot his name, is it the one who plays Michael? Anyway, I can't remember. He's got long hair, bit of a long nose, right? Nothing wrong with that. I've got a big fat nose, by the way. Could he play a younger Barry Allen in a flashback scene in the Flash movie? I believe so. But I also believe, and I've said this to you before, that this is going to be a Flashpoint movie. So what do you think about what Todd Phillips has had to say about the people criticising the Joker movie? How did you feel about Christopher Reeve growing up? I always felt very close to him. An absolutely fantastic Superman who ages so well. And you can watch those films and enjoy them at any time. I do believe that the DC Cinematic Universe or the DC world of films are going to carry on focusing on the characters. It's very, very interesting what's happening with the Batman. Definitely not part of the DCEU. Got to be Elseworlds. I don't think they're just going to do a reboot and say, this is still part of the DCEU. This would be clumsy. They've already shown us that the Batman there is Batfleck. They've showed us who that is. The newspaper clippings. Ben Affleck is still Batman within the DCEU. Whether we'll see him again, that's not a case in point. Are they trying to shut down the DCEU? Are they trying to focus on more Elseworld stories? Who knows? the most important thing to me isn't if they're going to reboot the DCEU or phase it out and just do individual movies, that they make good DC movies and they respect the comic lore of their characters. And I think they're doing this. Joker movies are case in point. Todd Phillips read a lot of those stories and tried to put some elements of the character in the film as well. So they're definitely trying to be more faithful to the origin stories. So it's going to be very, very interesting what happens to the DCEU going forward. Now, there's evidence against that, saying that the DCEU is being closed down. Otherwise, they wouldn't have greenlit a Flash movie, which surely, if Ezra Miller's playing him, he's part of the DCEU. But obviously, there is a big question mark over Wonder Woman 1984 and what that movie is going to do. And I'm not going to say any more than that, but if it does what the rumours are saying it's going to do, it changes the DC universe, and that could be why. That could be why Commissioner Gordon, or part of the reason why Commissioner Gordon is a person of colour. Could this Batman film still be part of the DCEU? Is there some Flashpoint story to tell? I know, but I can't tell you. Please comment down below. Please like, share and subscribe. And I shall see you for more DCEU Daily tomorrow.